Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content. The Black Sea, off the coast of Kherson, the year 704. Thunder roars as the small fishing boat is thrown against the raging waves, battered by wind and rain that sends cargo scattering across the deck. Crewmen rush to tie up the rigging and regain control of the ship, but amidst the chaos, there is one man who stands resolutely on the bow of the tiny vessel. He is tall and strong, dressed in the clothes of a nomadic horseman, yet wearing jewelry and robes fit for his station as a former emperor of Byzantium. His appearance is made more dramatic by the silver plate covering his nose and part of his face, custom made to conceal his mutilated features beneath. He stares fearlessly into the maelstrom, which beats down on his vessel with a fury that he understands all too well. A loyal crewman fights through the tempest, steadying himself along the rigging.
Imperator!
He calls over the howling of the wind and rain.
Don't you see this is God, warning you against our course of action? Perhaps, if you promise the Lord that you will spare our enemies' lives, he will spare us the death that surely awaits us if this storm continues.
Emperor Justinian II frowns. Deposed, mutilated, and humiliated by his foes, his quest is one of vengeance. A desire for justice that can never be placated.
No.
The Emperor says coldly.
If I consent to spare the heads of even a single one of my enemies, may God drown me here.
Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week. My name is Ben Thompson, and I am joined once again by my co-host, Dr. Pat Larish. Pat, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. The semester's, semestering, and I'm kind of in denial about how little time we have left, but I'm also looking forward to a break. So yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I saw a news article that made me think of you the other day because it involves our old friends, the Scythians, who I know are not Jengar people, but they're in the Jengar area of the world. But,
we've talked about them.
Yeah, several times. The Scythians, I feel like, come up a lot in our conversations.
Yeah.
So there was an article, I guess it was from December. I just saw the headline, but there was an article in PLOS saying that it was by Dr. Margherita Galiba. She's an assistant professor of archaeology at the University of Padua in Italy. And apparently the Scythians made arrow quivers using leather that was fashioned from human skin.
Wait, so this is not just something Herodotus says?
Yes, you're right. So yeah, Herodotus was right, apparently.
Oh.
We have some peer-reviewed articles about it. This team took 45 samples from 18 burial sites across southern Ukraine, and they found 2 sites where arrow quivers contain leather made from human skin.
Ooh, wow. So this is, they do DNA testing and, okay, these are samples that are centuries, maybe millennia old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm actually looking at Margherita Galiba's article and her co-authors, and I totally respect their scholarly integrity here, because they say that, okay, so for the ones that may contain human skin, they acknowledge that, okay, the DNA samples show that it belongs to the class of primates. So it may be humans. It may also be chimpanzees. However, chimpanzees are from Africa, and in the cultural context at the time, it is highly unlikely that chimpanzees would be in the area of the Scythians.
Not a lot of gorillas in Ukraine.
Exactly, yeah. So, okay, so I appreciate the way that she qualifies this. And yes. Now, I also want to say that Herodotus says, not only are quivers, but also Herodotus says that the Scythians made hand towels out of human skin. So, okay.
Is it
Okay.
absorbent?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Could you imagine just
yeah.
like the LeBron of the Scythians going into battle with like a headband made of human skin, you know?
Yikes. I mean, it's kind of intense. Sending a message.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a solid message. It definitely gets the point
Yes.
across. And that's kind of sets this vibe for the story that we have for you guys today.
Kind of intense.
Yes, it's very intense. When I was running a little late for our scheduled time to record, and I said, I need another 15 minutes. I'm going to make a cup of coffee, all that. I went downstairs to make some coffee, and I realized, like, for this episode this week, I think I just need like a blood red wine, like something.
Yeah.
Need to pour a red wine.
So
for this
do
one.
you indeed have a blood red wine that you are sipping upon?
I do. My son calls it zebra wine because there's a zebra on the bottle.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't let him drink it. I tell him it tastes like zebra, so he wouldn't like it. But anyway.
I respect your son's opinion.
Yes, this is one of those things that's going to come back to like haunt me in the future, I feel like. But yes, so we are, we're going to open with hand towels made of human skin because we are going to be talking about the Emperor Justinian II. And
not Justinian I, Justinian II.
Not the good one, the evil one.
Not Justinian I, who was married to Theodora, Justinian II, who was married to a different Theodora.
Different Justinian, different Theodora. Justinian I probably has like a more epic badass of the week episode waiting for him, where he's reuniting the Roman Empire and retaking Rome, and Belisarius is involved, and Belisarius is a great military hero, and there's an amazing story to be written about Justinian I, and he is probably the good one. But when we're talking about badasses, there are these great heroic, save the empire hero character badasses, and there are just the angry, petty, violent, miserable action revenge anti-hero badasses who just are absolutely ruthless and so cunning and evil and diabolical that the story kind of defies comprehension, and
we just got to tell it.
This is our little loophole that lets us tell all kinds of stories on this show. So instead of talking about the empire builder Justinian I, we're going to talk about Justinian II, who lived for revenge in a way that we do not often see from characters in history or even in movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should take a break here. And when we come back, we are going to tell the story of a guy who really had an eventful life and really decided that he was going to just get everybody that he feels like wronged him, and went to great lengths to make that happen. We'll be right back. The Emperor Justinian II inherits the throne of Byzantium in the year 685 at the age of 16.
Okay, so I just want to interrupt and say, so age 16, think about 16-year-olds okay? They're teenagers. They're kind of trying their best. They're also kind of pushing boundaries. They're learning to drive. Would you trust any of them with an empire? I'm not going to answer that question for you.
Who's in charge of this country anyway?
Yes.
It's Justinian.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Justinian is
His prefrontal cortex has not fully developed yet. This is a neurological fact, I'm assuming. I'm assuming people in the 7th century had brain structures and brain development that was the same as my beloved students.
He probably had good advisors.
I love
had
my
teachers
students,
and advisors who he listened to very well and took their advice.
Took their advice. Yeah.
Took it into consideration when he was making sweeping geopolitical decisions that affected the lives of tens of millions of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so It's getting late in the semester for Pat, I feel like.
Yeah, my goodness. Yes. Thank you for understanding. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, 16-year-olds, bless their hearts.
Yes.
Okay. So, and most 16-year-olds, you know, like they have to turn in their math homework. They're learning how to drive. They're probably figuring out how to, like, you know, socialize with their peers.
Mhm.
And this guy, Justinian, he's like, hey, I have an empire. Oh, golly, I have to run it.
Yeah.
So what does he do?
He's not worried about math homework or Latin 3 homework. He is at war with the Umayyad Caliphate in the Middle East. So basically, a large portion of the Middle East is unified under the Caliphate, the Umayyad dynasty, and they are at war with Byzantium. Justinian has to prosecute this war that he's inherited. He's also got some revolutions happening in Armenia and the Balkans. The Byzantine Empire...
Okay, so as excuses go for not doing your math homework, this is one of the better ones.
Yeah, I was trying to negotiate a peace treaty with the caliph. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can turn it in later next week.
Yeah. The Byzantine Empire is big at this point. Justinian I has kind of built this large, you know, the Byzantine Empire is on its way up. It's got a lot of money and a lot of people live there. They're fighting wars on the border. When Justinian takes over, he takes the name of Justinian I. Like, his birth name is not Justinian, but when he ascends to the throne, he becomes Justinian II to try to...
It's like what popes do.
Right, get the PR of the previous guy. Just be like, oh, the Emperor Justinian. He was good. Oh, you're also Justinian? Yeah, you're probably good too. Okay, so that works okay. He doesn't lead the army in the field, but his generals win a battle against the Umayyads. They negotiate a peace treaty, and he's part of that negotiation. There's combat in Armenia and in the Balkans with the rebels. He's able to quell those and bring those people back into the empire. But he's having a little problem at home because he is Justinian II, and we're going to get a feel for this guy's character in a minute. That's
a diplomatic way of putting it.
Yes. I feel like I kind of laid it out in the intro, but here's the deal. Justinian is all about Justinian. And when he takes over, he decides, like, he's naming himself after the main guy, right? It's like becoming president, change your name to George Washington II. So, like, he's got big ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, I need to prove to everybody that I'm awesome, and the way I'm going to do that is by building a bunch of big statues of myself, and the way I'm going to pay for that is by raising taxes on everybody so that I can build more statues of myself.
His logic is impeccable.
Yeah, it worked for Ramses, right?
Yeah.
There is a Senate in the Byzantine Empire, just like there
How
was.
do you feel about him?
There was a Senate in the Roman Empire too, and
well, and also, honestly, okay. To be fair, at a certain level, the Byzantine government still kind of thinks of itself as the continuation of the Roman government.
They do absolutely think of themselves that way.
Yeah.
Rome is the city of Rome has various parts before this. Justinian I was able to retake it. And so, like, Rome itself is part of the Byzantine Empire for portions of the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah. But, like, the center of gravity is in Constantinople.
Yes. So they are in Constantinople.
Not Istanbul, Constantinople.
No. Yes, Constantinople, even though it's the Byzantine Empire, which it used to be called Byzantium, now it's called Constantinople. It's currently in our real world right now called Istanbul.
Yeah. Istanbul, yes. Sorry, that was a They Might Be Giants reference.
Oh, I know.
Okay, yeah,
I was trying to find a long way to set it up, but yes.
Anyway, okay.
You cannot mention Byzantium without that coming up.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Yes. The Senate, we've got this, like, Justinian and Senate tension.
Yes, the Senate do not like him. And, you know, the Senate didn't like Caligula, and they didn't like Nero, and they didn't like some of these other people. And the emperor does have some ability to kind of run over the Senate if he doesn't care what they do. And this is...
Yeah, he can ruffle their feathers.
Yeah, I didn't like what you're doing. I'm outraged by your decisions. And he can just be like, I'm doing this anyway. And there's not a lot the Senate can do to override him. There is no, like, 2/3 majority to, like, veto order from the emperor.
Someone should, like, write that into the governing statutes of the...
Yeah, so something like Constitution or something. Like, should be some sort of piece of paper to, like, regulate government, huh? I mean, I don't know.
Just spitballing here. Anyway,
I mean, look, Pat, this guy's dad was the emperor, so now he's the emperor. God wills it.
and this is Byzantium. So if you're the emperor, it's the will of God.
Yeah, if you disagree with me, you're literally disagreeing with God, to the degree that Emperor Justinian II decided that he was going to have the patriarch, who was like basically the Pope of Orthodox religion.
Yeah.
He had the patriarch arrested for disagreeing with him on religious matters. The Emperor Justinian said, I think it should be like this. The patriarch said, I don't think so. That's not how we've done it. And the patriarch was arrested. Okay.
And and listeners, this is how Ben explains the Quinnisext Council.
Do you have a more eloquent explanation of the council?
No. Okay. I skimmed some Wikipedia. I skimmed some Wikipedia entries, and
we can get into the religious theory of this, but suffice to say that there was a huge schism between the Russian and Greek Orthodox churches over how many fingers you hold up to sign yourself when you do the sign of the cross. So you know in Catholic you go up, down, left, right. The Orthodox you go up, down, right, left.
Yeah.
The Russians do, I believe, with 2 fingers up because 3 down for the Holy Trinity, and the Byzantine the Greeks do it with 3 fingers up because that's 3 up for the Trinity. This is the kind of thing that happens with arguments. That this is that council we were referring to was.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like the exact angle at which you hold your pinky to do a pinky swear.
Yes.
Becomes like an entire political thing.
Right. Yes. And without trying to minimally disparage other people's religions.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yes,
not
exactly.
At all.
There was a debate over something minor that seems minor to us now, but was not minor to the people of Byzantium
but it was a big
at the
deal
time.
back then, and also it may have been like theologically, it may have been a big deal to some people back then, as in like some people may have been actually like, oh my goodness, you're a monothelete. Oh my goodness, you have a different view about the nature of God and Jesus and whatever, and like the nature of divine will.
There were a lot of people that had their head cut off over the Aryan thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like on the one hand, it's a theological thing, and it's like for many people, it was like this is the nature of reality, and for some people, it may have been like, tomato. It's more like a political power play thing. Like, okay, I'm a tomato person, and I'm going to use this as a way to bully the tomato people.
Absolutely. At its core, this is Justinian telling the church, I am more important than you. And by arresting the patriarch,
Justinian.
The emperor is saying, I am more powerful than the Senate. I am more powerful than the patriarch. I am God on earth. I am more powerful than the population. I'm going to tax you. I'm going to override the Senate. I'm going to arrest the patriarch. Awesome.
He's not God on earth. He's representing
the representative
God
of God on earth. Yes, sorry. That does matter. And so, what do we know about Byzantine politics, Pat? Just in general.
No.
How do you think this is going to work? How do you think this is going to go over in a society where the word Byzantine literally can be used to refer to backstabbing as a synonym?
Convoluted. Yeah. Okay. Let's have we lost the plot? We have not lost the plot. We've just misplaced the plot. So, so in practical terms, there's Justinian and there's the Senate, and they're butting heads.
Yes.
And he tried to have the patriarch arrested, and
he's going against. Yeah. So, he says he's better than the population. He's better than the Senate. He's better than the patriarch. So what happens to a person who acts like this? Well, in 693, all of those institutions, they might not have a constitution to override him and veto him, but they can just capture him and arrest him and exile him and have a coup d'etat against him. So under the command of this general, this high-ranking general, commander of the Byzantine forces in Constantinople, is a guy named Leontius. Leontius and the patriarch and the entire Senate unite against Justinian II.
So wait a minute. So Leontius, he's the head of the army.
Mm-hmm.
The patriarch is the head of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And the Senate is the Senate.
Yes.
So we've got like 3 major power centers uniting against Justinian.
Literally everybody hates this guy, including the population, because he's been overtaxing the population to build statues of himself. And like you said, these people really believe in this religion. And when he arrests the patriarch, That is not a good look for the emperor. You have to be a really charismatic emperor to pull that off.
Yeah.
And they probably liked the patriarch, and they probably didn't like paying the extra taxes. So this is, he is like 24 at this point.
Okay, so he's 24. So he's had 8 years of experience since he took the throne.
Yes, and he's used all 8 of those years to burn every bridge in Constantinople. So the army, the church, and the Senate and the population rise up against him. They capture him. They cut off his nose.
Yikes.
Yeah, they cut off his nose. They slit his tongue down the middle. They burn all of his advisors alive, and they exile him to Crimea, which is across the Black Sea from Constantinople.
Kherson.
Yeah, Kherson is the name of the town. It's a old settlement that's been there for centuries at this point.
And so cutting off his nose and slitting his tongue, like, okay, on the one hand, that's just in general, that's like a horrible thing.
Yeah, I mean, because they get like it's not like a surgical procedure. They like held him down and chopped off his nose and cut his tongue, and he had to lay there while all of his friends and family, or not his family, but like all of his friends and his advisors were getting burned up. Everybody that they thought was responsible for any of this bad stuff had bad things happen to them.
Yeah, and A, this was before modern anesthesia, and B, even if reliable and safe anesthesia had been around, something tells me they would not have offered that to him.
No.
Yeah. So the cutting off the nose and slitting his tongue, it's not just beating up on him. It's also a way of saying, hey, you're emperor. Okay, if you are emperor, you're the representative of God. And it was a thing in the Byzantine Empire that the emperor, as the representative of God, had to be not flawed. So if you cut off someone's nose, they're physically flawed. And I this is a very ableist way of thinking about things. But in Byzantium, in the Byzantine Empire, if you were disfigured at some level, you were not eligible to be emperor.
Yeah, because you were not, you were damaged.
Yeah.
Okay. So that happens to him. And he's exiled to Crimea, to Kherson. Okay.
And I mention this because it will become relevant later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He goes there and he lives in exile. Okay. While he's there, what does he do? He's probably got a pretty nice palace. I imagine it's I picture like the Napoleon exile kind of thing, where you've got like a nice enough area. They take care of you. You don't have to work and stuff. He doesn't have to find a job or something, but like...
If I were him, I would spend a lot of time sulking.
He spends his time plotting. So, and his nose has been cut off and his tongue's been sliced up, but he gets a fake nose or a mask, and some sources say it's gold, some silver, but I'm picturing like a Phantom of the Opera kind of. You'll see it interpreted in various ways through art, but whether it's a golden nose or a silver like mask, like the Phantom of the Opera, and this is kind of gives him this Darth Vader kind of vibe of like this mask, like this kind of. So anyway, he spends the next 8 years in Kherson plotting his revenge. He believes that he has been wronged and everyone responsible is going to pay. And he just starts thinking about it.
That's a lot of time to plot your revenge.
The same amount of time as the emperor. He's the emperor for 8 years and then he's in exile for 8 years.
Symmetry to that. And I'm also picturing him with like a whiteboard with like string and like one of those detective / serial killer boards. Yeah, like I'm plotting my revenge. Oh yeah.
Who am I going to get? Right. Arya with her list. Right. Just every night before you go to bed, say the names of every person that's got to die. Right. Something like that. Yeah. So that's what he's working on. Back in Constantinople during these 8 years, politics continued to be Byzantine. Yeah. So General Leontius installs himself as the emperor after leading this coup.
As you do.
Yeah, exactly. He overthrows Justinian. He becomes the emperor. The patriarch's happy. The Senate's happy. He's happy. Leontius, during this 8 years, is eventually part of there's a coup against him, and he's overthrown in exile. This is Byzantine politics for you. So there's a new emperor now over the course of this 8 years. He's Emperor Tiberius. And why you would choose the name Tiberius as your emperor reign name probably tells you something about this guy. But he takes over, And he's exiled Leontius. Leontius is overthrown. His supporters are killed. He's exiled. But Tiberius is also a usurper. He also doesn't have the right bloodline. And he starts thinking about this Justinian II guy. He's like, look, the guy, I know we cut his nose off. I know the bad things are happening to him, but he's still got the right bloodline and he's still hanging around. And I think he's still mad. Seems like he's still mad. We got to do something about this guy.
I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
I think strategically you need to take that into account.
Yeah. And so Tiberius is like, we got to deal with this guy. So he sends assassins to kill Justinian in Kherson.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How does that go?
Not well. So Justinian gets just a little bit of advance notice that there are assassins coming from Constantinople to kill you, like trained killers, right? Hired guys. And the Byzantines were very good at this. And they would have for sure sent their best guys at this, right? So this is a KGB hit team, right? This is a serious problem for him.
I mean, if you're Emperor Tiberius, you have access to A, the best guys, and B, the means to pay the best guys.
Yes, and not just the best guys, but the best guys in the Byzantine Empire, which is an empire that is famous for backstabbing people and assassinating people.
Okay.
So, cool. He gets notice, and through some series, it probably was dramatic. We don't have a lot of details on it, but Justinian gets word and he escapes and he flees these assassins. This is the chase sequence here. This is a good chase sequence. Justinian escapes. He's there. He's plotting his revenge. Killers come in. He goes out the window, flees, jumps on ox carts or whatever, flees. And so where does he flee? Well, we had talked about the Scythians. The Scythians were kind of like horse nomadic warrior guys in
steppes of Central Asia.
Generally, the Scythians are placed in Ukraine, and he ends up with a group of people called the Khazars, who are Scythian-like.
Okay, yeah. As in, there are a lot of peoples in Central Asia, Central Eurasia, at this time who are leading a nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. We're in the steppe. Like this is like prime steppe area, right? You've got Pechenegs. Throughout the various time periods, you have various Turkic peoples. You have Pechenegs, you have Khazars, you have Scythians. It's fluid this time period. Yeah. And Justinian makes his way to a place called Phanagoria, which always makes me think of the horror movie magazine Fangoria. It was an ancient Greek city. It's in present-day, southern part of present-day Russia, just across what would now be the Kerch Bridge from Ukraine, kind of like Russia, Georgia area. And he goes and flees to the Khazars because, Kherson, he can't go to the Constantinople, he can't go to the Byzantine Empire anymore. He's got to go somewhere else. He's got to escape because the Byzantines are everywhere, and he can't go there, and he can't go to the Caliphate because he was historically their enemy as well. So, where do you go? So he's going to go with these horse nomads. They're Turkic horse nomads. They are important in the geopolitical scene at this time period because they kind of connect Byzantium to the Arab caliphates through trade. So they can kind of trade with both cultures without there being any kind of weirdness. And they're very good at this. And so they end up being like, pretty, even though we don't know much about the Khazars today, they are important people during the lifetime of Justinian II.
Yes. Yeah. And we don't know much about them because not a lot of sources survive. Not a lot of written sources survive. But obviously they were, doing their thing.
I've heard that no Khazar language survives or no Khazar writings survive.
Okay, so Ben, I have to say,
I imagine you did some research on this.
Okay. So it's not true that no Khazar language survives, but that very, very little survives. Now, I have to say, it's almost no, but it's enough to give us a little bit of a sense of it. So we have some nouns. We have 2 nouns. Okay, this is according to Wikipedia. 2 nouns, a conjugated verb, and a few proper names. But the thing is, I've actually seen 2 different transcriptions of it, and it means something like, the verb that I've seen means something like either I have read or we have read or something like that. But it seems like, from the evidence that we have, the Khazar language places it in generally the Turkic language family, which is, obviously the language family that Turkish belongs to. And generally, I guess what this means for the story we're telling is that the Khazars were whole human beings in their own right, and they had all sorts of things to say. And we do not know what those things were because,
it was mostly an oral tradition, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
and we've come across that with the Scythians and some of these
Yeah.
other people from this area as well, where a lot of the history, even the Jengar stuff, a lot of the history was spoken rather than written down. And because they didn't build libraries to house books. They traveled on horseback and they needed to bring the stories with them. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Justinian arrives with the Khazars and he impresses them pretty much right away. So one thing about Justinian, Justinian has his flaws and there are many of them, but he is good at things that the Khazar nobility at this time values. Horseback riding, bow hunting, fighting. Like, he's good at this stuff. Like, he trained in it his whole life. He was a good hunter. He was a good rider. He could shoot an arrow from horseback at a gallop and hit his targets.
Okay, I admit that is impressive.
Yeah, this earns him, and he was the former Byzantine emperor. That probably didn't help either. So he earns a place of prestige among the Khazars, and he ends up marrying the Khazar Khan's sister in the year 703. Now, she had a Khazar name that we don't know, like we were talking about with the language. It doesn't survive.
It was not written down. We don't know it. Yeah. Yes.
We know her as Theodora, which is
obviously not her Khazar name.
Right. She converted to Orthodoxy when in order to marry Justinian, because that is kind of a Justinian requirement. And we know her as Theodora.
It's a Justinian requirement, and it's a Byzantine requirement. And Theodora means gift of God.
Okay.
It's a very Christian sort of name.
Christian name for your significant other, I suppose.
Yeah, we don't know what her name was. We don't know what her life was like before. I mean, we can make some assumptions, but yeah. So this warrior woman from the steppes marries Justinian.
Yes, and Justinian kind of falls in love with the Khazar lifestyle. He likes it here when he goes there. He doesn't. He's kind of grown up in the palace and the Byzantine politics. He kind of cools off for 8 years in Kherson, where he's basically under house arrest. He comes out here. He's in the open steppes. He's horseback riding. He's hunting. He's hanging out with the Khan, and he's good at it. And they like him. And he seems like he's pretty happy here.
Yeah.
But you know who's not happy?
Who?
The Emperor Tiberius.
Oh, right. Forgot about him. He's back in Constantinople being emperor.
Because not only is Justinian still hanging around and his assassins did not kill that guy, but now he's hanging around with a bunch of Khazars who are warrior horse nomads that might cause a problem for him in the future. So, okay. What are his options? It's hard to sneak a Byzantine assassin into Khazar court. But what he can do
is he can just... I mean, come on. How skilled is it? It seems like a skill issue.
Maybe they will. Well, we'll see. Because it's not we'll see. So what he does first is he contacts the Khan of the Khazars and says, hey, I will pay you to have Justinian killed. And
okay, so Emperor Tiberius is sending some sort of message to the Khan of the Khazars saying, can you off this guy?
Yeah. And the Khan of the Khazars says, no, I'm not going to have him killed. He's married to my sister. I like this guy. He's cool. We hang out. We go hunting together. He's basically family at this point. He's my brother-in-law. He seems to like me. He says no. And then the Emperor Tiberius says, okay, here's more money. And the Khan of the Khazars says, well, maybe. We're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, the Khan of the Khazars is going to green light some Byzantine assassins to come and get the Emperor Justinian. We'll be right back. So one night, the former emperor, Justinian II, is in his bedroom with his wife, Theodora, who, remember, was a Khazar princess. And two men enter the bedroom with weapons, and their mission is to kill Justinian. Now, in this bedroom, Theodora awakens first, and she warns...
Now, this is Theodora, who not only is the queen, well, not only is the wife of Justinian, a former Byzantine emperor, but she's also coming from, like, she was born among the Khazars.
She's the sister of the Khan. She's nobility. She's Khazar nobility.
She's probably good at bow and arrows.
Mm-hmm. Almost certainly. That feels like a requirement. She awakens. She warns Justinian. These guys approach with their knives, and there is a fight. And as the struggle goes on in the bedroom, and when it ends, both of the assassins have been strangled to death by Theodora and Justinian. They kill both of these guys with their bare hands.
Wait, so Justinian and Theodora?
Unclear, but possible.
Okay.
The specifics are unclear at the moment, but both these guys end up strangled to death, and the only two people in the room are Theodora and Justinian, and there's two assassins. So it seems reasonable to assume that she was involved in, and she was a Khazar princess. It seems reasonable to assume that she was involved in some capacity.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, we got to get out of here. We don't know if there's more guys coming. We don't know what the plan is. You got to go. And so Theodora is like, you go and get out of here. I'll wait here and like run interference. So Justinian goes out the window, gets down to the docks, steals a fishing boat from somebody at the docks of the Khazar capital, and then sets out across the Black Sea in a rowboat. And Theodora stays behind to run interference for him to help him get away. Yes. So Justinian gets out. He gets out on the Black Sea. He's on the open sea, and there's a storm.
He's on his boat.
He's on a boat. Which we don't know if he knows anything about boats, but he's on this fishing boat that he has stolen. And there's a storm.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he may have picked up something because, I mean, Constantinople is right there on the water.
He must have, because he's in this wooden ship with thunder and lightning and big waves. He almost dies.
Yeah,
in this
very,
storm.
very frightening.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he does make it through. He sails all the way across the big sea. He sails all the way across the Black Sea on this fishing boat.
Which is, okay, let's be fair. The Black Sea is a big sea.
It's big.
Yeah.
Like he lands with the Bulgars, who are in Bulgaria, which is like...
Okay, that's a different place on the map.
It's like all the way across the Black Sea. I looked it up, there is a ferry boat that you can hire now that goes from Port Kavkaz, which is kind of near the site of Phanagoria, and it goes to Varna, Bulgaria. And this ferry crosses the Black Sea in a way that maybe Justinian would have done. The ferry boat takes 34 hours, and it is like powered. It's a powered boat.
Yeah, this is a modern ferry. This is not this is not like an 8th century ferry. This is a modern ferry with modern technology. Okay. Wow. Okay. So crossing the Black Sea is a non-trivial endeavor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he lands with the Bulgars, and we've talked about the Bulgars before. We talked about them in our episode on Basil II and Khan Krum the Horrible, who was the Khan of the Bulgars. After this, Basil the Bulgar Slayer and Khan Krum, they're after Justinian II. We did an episode on this. Let's just cut to the chase and say these guys were intense. And and we do couple that with Khan Krum the Horrible, who was a Bulgar. Justinian arrives at these people who are they're also Scythian like. They are horse warriors that are feared by Constantinople. And Justinian goes to these people because he knows they're feared by Constantinople. And remember when he was putting down revolutions and revolts in Armenia and in the Balkans, like the Bulgars, they're an intense group of people. And when Justinian shows up, he shows up with a mission. And that mission is the Emperor Tiberius is not going to stop until I'm dead. So let's get him first. So he lands with the Bulgars and he's like, we are going to take Constantinople. I don't even care about the money or any of that. I'll give you guys whatever you want. I need an army and we're going to ride for Constantinople.
Okay. There's a plan.
There's a plan. And there's a good plan because it's not like the Bulgars just never thought about it before and be like, oh, shoot, why don't we just attack Constantinople? The secret here is one that we also, I think, kind of see with Basil later on, but the Emperor Justinian, it's his city. He grew up there and he was the emperor. He knows all the secrets. He got all the secret files, right? And, Constantinople is famous for the triple walls and, it's impenetrable. It didn't fall. It's not going to fall for a long, long, long time until well after
this
it's
is a
complete.
very fortified city.
Yes. The most fortified in the world, perhaps.
Yeah.
And
And they've got lots of cisterns also. So if Constantinople is under siege, they have water supply.
They have water, but that water is fed in some ways by aqueducts. And Justinian has the blueprints of all of the aqueducts that lead into the city. And so he dams up an aqueduct and he rides the Bulgars on horseback through the aqueduct into the city. He uses a series of secret passages and they emerge in the city in the middle of the night. I want to watch this scene.
Yes. I want to watch a bunch of Bulgars and also Justinian riding through the aqueducts.
Ride horses through the aqueducts. They emerge in the city of Constantinople in the middle of the night through a series of secret passages. They attack. There's a battle, but it is very one-sided. The Bulgars come streaming into the city from underneath.
Whose side?
Yeah, they come up from below or in from the aqueducts, and there's destruction, fire. Justinian, the defenders are killed. Justinian sacks his own capital, his former capital. Attacks his own city. Retakes the throne 10 years after he lost it. He, defeats he takes the palace, they kill everybody, and he resits on his former throne.
Like, let's picture Justinian. Okay.
With the silver nose.
Yeah. With the
dressed in Bulgar or Khazar clothing.
Okay. And he might be grubby and sweaty and kind of needing
bloody
a
from
bath
fighting and killing people, right?
Yeah, so he comes in and he's like, okay, this is my throne.
Mm-hmm.
We meet again.
Yeah, you change the curtains in here, you bastards.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that like kind of like the canonical thing, like measuring for drapes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course they've changed the curtains, and he's like, yeah. You changed the curtains. I'm changing the regime.
Yes. Now it's bad news for anybody that Justinian's mad at, because he's been plotting this revenge for 10 years and now he's got it. So anybody that's in the palace that he believes was responsible for his overthrow, he has them killed. But it's everybody that was in the room. What he wants now is he wants everybody that was in the room when his nose was cut off. So anybody that's currently able to be grabbed by him, they're executed. But the way they're executed is not the standard, just cut their heads off. He has them sewn up into burlap sacks and thrown into the ocean.
Okay, yeah, that's a way to do it.
It's bad news, right? They didn't have cement shoes at the time, so this is the next best thing. The Emperor Tiberius, who has now tried to have Justinian assassinated twice, Tiberius fled. When the fighting started, his bodyguard got him out of the city, and now he's fled. He's hiding in Byzantium. But Justinian has him grabbed. Tiberius is dragged back to Constantinople. Then Justinian finds General Leontius, the original guy that overthrew him. Remember, Leontius overthrew Justinian, but then got overthrown by Tiberius. He's in exile somewhere. Justinian has that guy grabbed. It has both of them brought before him in the throne room of Constantinople. He slashes their noses and their tongues.
Okay, so So I just pause for a moment for the setting. We're in the throne room in Constantinople, so it's going to be very opulent.
Yes,
there's going to be marble. There's going to be porphyry, which is like this very specific purple kind of marble, and there's going to be gold and gilding everywhere.
And they're brought before him, and he orders that what was done to him is now done to them. Their noses are cut off and their tongues are slashed.
Karma's a bear.
Yeah. Then he has them tied up. He has them trussed. And then he uses them as footstools while he watches the chariot races that afternoon.
And can I just interrupt to say, chariot races in Constantinople are a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's totally a big deal. Yeah.
This is every sport combined is the chariot races. So he sits in the imperial section, which is, picture like the Colosseum type of thing, right? Where he's got his own special giant box with all the gilding and everything. He's got his own special seat where everybody that's in attendance can see him. One foot is up on the back of Tiberius. One foot is up on the back of Leontius. And he's got the silver nose. Yeah, you disfigured me. That means I can't be emperor, but guess what? I'm emperor. And yep. So he watches the games with them tied up on all fours as footstools, and then afterwards he has them executed, probably by being tied up into sacks and thrown out. He finds the patriarch. Remember the patriarch that he threw in jail that revolted against him? He finds the patriarch and has him stripped of his rank and has his eyes put out with hot pokers.
Ooh, yuck.
He goes back to Cherson, remember where he was exiled, and burns it to the ground and enslaves the population and anybody he thought might be responsible for his assassination attempt, because he was stuck there. He hated it. And then they tried to kill him. So he has the whole city burned down and the population enslaved.
Okay, just because he had like a bad lunch.
He's not a good guy. he's not a good person. He's just living for revenge. I'm going to burn the city to the ground. I'm going to find my old house. I'm going to blow it up.
Yeah. Okay, I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And I'm in this town, so I'm going to burn this town. I feel butthurt.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's the argument with this guy, is that like he really committed to the revenge. He thought about it forever. He really went after it. Everybody that he thought was responsible for his overthrow, he got them back. And the problem here is that, like you just suggested, he's not really a good ruler. He's not well liked by the population. He's not well liked by the new Senate or everybody who's replacing all of these people who are being killed. Yeah. And none of this is really endearing himself to the population either.
No, nor to posterity. But no. Did he do anything that was good? Or that could be perceived as good through any lens?
Not that anybody wrote down. Maybe he built some roads and stuff, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Some people might argue that he managed to strengthen the empire against certain enemies.
It's possible, but like what happens here is that like he's
I'm not trying to be an apologist for him.
It's an interesting question though, right? Because is all this written by people who hate him, and are they glossing over the good stuff? But like what happens here is that he's so obsessed with the revenge, and then like he really isn't a great manager of the city, because what happens is there is a perceived weakness of Justinian II to where foreign invasions happen on his borders from all directions. There's revolts from within, and eventually, like not long after he retakes and executes his revenge, there's another coup against him because he's kind of a paranoid maniac who's killing everybody who disagrees with him and arresting people and doing all this weird stuff. And so you get the Nero, Tiberius, Caligula kind of thing where while that is a badass story of like revenge, and while that would be an awesome like Byzantine John Wick movie, this doesn't really make him like a beloved king and ruler among his people. And before long, there's another coup, and he is overthrown and killed. And that is, they eliminate his line, and no other Justinians or his family line will be emperors ever again. And so, I mean, I guess what's the lesson here? I guess it's the Moby Dick lesson, the Captain Ahab, or Khan Noonien Singh, not the Bulgar Khan or the Khazar Khan. Khan, yes. Don't be so obsessed with revenge that it becomes so overtakes your entire life, because that's a path to destruction. Maybe that's the lesson here, but regardless, that's Justinian. He was kind of a badass in that he's lived for revenge to the exclusion of all other things, even though it might not have been the most, the best thing to do for his life or his reign or his people or anything else. Anyway, that's the character, and that's our episode for the day. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, Pat, for being there and helping me tell the story. Yeah. And I guess we'll see you on the next one. Don't live for revenge is okay, but don't live too hard for revenge. Maybe that's the lesson. I don't know. All right, thank you guys so much. Yeah. We'll see you on the next episode.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content. Executive producers are me, Ben Thompson, Dr. Patricia Larish, and Andrew Jacobs. Writing is by me and Pat. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Mixing and music and sound design by Jude Brewer. Special thanks to Noel Brown at iHeartRadio. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, and tell your friends and tell your enemies. And please leave us a rating. We'll be back next week with another one.